turn now to Sony, and Sony says sorry. Does that look sorry enough?
That looks pretty sorry, although I think some of the PlayStation gamers may want a larger apology.
They want a little more than that. We've got Eric Hesseldahl and Dan Gallagher to help us out with this, find out exactly what was said. Let's start with Dan Gallagher with Market Watch in San Francisco. Dan, I understand a letter was sent out saying sorry. What exactly did it say?
Well, it topped with that. It said Howard Springer, the CEO of Sony, communicated with gamers and said they were sorry for the outage, and he's offering making some offerings to help kind of soothe some anger over it. They're putting out an insurance policy, an ID theft insurance policy for up to $1 million per user, even though they say there's been no evidence yet of credit card data or personal data being taken and misused. And is also offering a month of free membership for Plus members, and the letter makes reference to a few other things that weren't spelled out. So they're trying to make a sort of a peace offering as they try to get the service back online.
Well, Dan, that all does sound well and fine, and I don't know if in the past, in any sort of outage, that kind of insurance has been offered to users. But I think what gamers probably want to know is when they can get back online. Is there any sort of timeline for that that's being given here?
Yeah, the twitching is unbearable in the office for all the gamers.
They've given no timeline yet. It looks possible that it may last another weekend, which of course is a big gaming time on these networks. It's uncertain. They haven't put any specific time yet, and so there's still a lot of question about that.
And still no perpetrators caught. Let's bring in Eric Hesseldahl, who is swanning it up in the Hamptons, I understand.
In the Hamptons.
What a great life you lead.
Yet.
That's awesome, Eric. I understand another hacking raid might be in the offing. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, there's been some reports on CNET this morning that someone has observed some conversations on one of the internet relay chats. This is the old chat channels on the internet that hackers tend to favor. That there may be some discussions about another third attack that could take place as soon as this week, and this, of course, would be kicking Sony when it's down. The question now is, are the security measures that it's taken, have they, will they be able to fend off an attack if it comes?
Right, and Eric, would something like DebX, which Sony is offering its customers, be able to also ward off any of the impact of another attack?
Well, we don't know that much about. I don't know exactly all the things that DebX offers, but it's essentially insurance. One question with this DebX thing, I was looking at its website today, and it's basically a little less than $10 a user at cost. I'm sure Sony has negotiated some kind of a volume discount for the numbers involved, but if they're offering it for as many as 100 million users, which is between Sony PlayStation Gaming Network and Sony Entertainment Online, that's a lot of accounts, that a lot of people that they're going to have to insure. So the cost is steadily climbing.
That is a heck of a lot of accounts. Is there any sense that you've got in observing the company whether they could have done anything differently if they were going through all of this again? I know they said they wanted to respond faster, but that it's quite hard to do forensic analysis on this sort of stuff, and hackers tend to cover their tracks.
They do. Hackers are known for going in, and very often they will delete the logs of their access, which makes it all that much more difficult. Also, there's the question of the false flag, or the potential false flag, the file in there that tends to implicate the anonymous hacking collective. But one observation that's been made by Gene Spafford, he's a professor at Purdue University, kind of internet security and expert, is that Sony was using an old version of the Apache web service software, and also may not have been running a firewall. So I think lawyers in particular, we're going to be looking at that case. They're going to be saying, well, why wasn't Sony being more careful? Now, we don't know if that's true. That's an observation that this gentleman made in testimony before Congress yesterday. But if it were true, it would definitely tend to implicate Sony.
Right. Eric, thank you for joining us. I want to bring it back to Dan quickly, because Eric brought up a good point earlier, which is the financial impact, how much this is costing Sony. And Dan, how has the stock been reacting since we first heard of this at the end of April?
Well, in a few ways. The Tokyo-listed shares of Sony are down about 9% since the day before they announced this problem. The American-listed shares are down a little less, a little less than 6% right now. It's had an impact on them. Sony's going to be reporting results for its fiscal year at the end of this month, and estimates are about $85 billion in revenue for the year. So this is a very large company with a large revenue base. So it's likely they'll be able to absorb the charges as they're dealing with this. It's probably going to be more of an impact to their reputation, and possibly going forward the competitive position with other game consoles.
Well, maybe they could make some money having a new game called Hunt the Hackers. Thank you very much, Dan Gallagher with Market Watch in San Francisco.